start the episode, I would like to give a quick little shout out to Jakia Paring out of Huntington, West Virginia, for being Just Chris Podcast newest monthly supporter. Jakia, shout out to you. Guys, if you're still looking to support the podcast, it's not too late. It is not too late. I know I said it in the most recent episode about the link will be in the description. After I looked further into it, the link was indeed not in the description. None of my links uploaded on iTunes. Everything worked on Spotify and everything else, but iTunes specifically, it didn't work. And I emailed Apple, I emailed my hosting website trying to get this resolved. And, they pretty much told me to shake it off. And, champ, you'll get them next week. So that's what I'm hoping for, is that I will get them next week, or I'll get them this week. I will have the link adjusted, and to support the podcast, it will be the first one you see. So scroll down, first one, very top, click on it, and I have it split into 3 different tiers: the 99 cents a month, which is less than a McChicken a month; $4.99 a month, which is less than what you pay for the number one meal at Chick-fil-A; and then $9.99 a month, which is, probably less than a large pizza at Domino's to split with you and all the homies. So consider looking into that. I am in the process of, finding a way to give back to those who support the podcast. Couple ideas in mind. I am going to split it up by tiers. So the 99 cents, $4.99, $9.99. And you will get one thing in the 99 cent a month. And then you'll also get that in the $4.99 a month in addition to a couple other things. And then if you pay for the $9.99 a month, you're going to get everything in tier 1 and tier 2. What I am kind of brainstorming on the idea, I do have a newsletter I'm looking to give out or start up. I haven't quite nailed it down exactly, and I'm still working on how often I would like to send out the newsletter. I'm getting all that together. I've been working on it these past couple weeks, and it'll be dope. So I'm looking forward to it. Again, if you support the podcast already, shout out to you. You are the GOAT, no doubt, no cap. Thank you for supporting the podcast. And another thing that I realized that I goofed on is when I went to go upload the episode with Greg, I was trying to count which episode it was, because as I was making the thumbnail, it said that episode 23, the thumbnail said it was episode 24. And I was like, well, I started off the episode with Greg stating that it was episode 24. And I'm running the numbers in my head, like, how am I an accountant, but I can't count? What's going on here? So I figured it out. I goofed a little bit when making the previous thumbnail, went back through and I fixed the count and everything. So we're squared away. It still says episode 24 and episode 23, but ignore it. Ignore it. You probably didn't even realize it until I mentioned it. But again, ignore it. If not, we're good. We're Gucci. We'll keep going with the episode. For this week's episode, I actually wrote the notes a couple weeks ago. So a couple of the stuff, I'm looking back through it and I'm like, okay, everything has changed, which is the problem that I have when I, write the notes in advance, because none of it, a lot of it still applies, but things have changed dramatically. Okay. So when I wrote this episode, this was the plan. It was originally going to be a solo episode. And I got home from work last week and I saw Colby. I was like, you know what, Colby? I'm going to have you co-host on the podcast tonight. We got a couple topics in mind. I'd love your input. We'll see how it goes. Come to find out that the audio cut out halfway through. The video started 3 or 4 minutes late. And then I did not have my mic on my camera. So whatever I didn't pick up on my computer, my camera audio, it didn't work. Well, it worked, but there was no fixing it. It was at a point where it was butchered. So now we re-recorded the episode tonight. Colby and I re-recorded the episode. It went very well. I go to edit it and I goof so bad. I've just been off my game. I goof so bad. I had only picked up, it was only tracking one mic on both tracks. So usually it should be, track one, it picks up mic one, track two picks up mic two. I had it set that track one picks up mic one, track two picks up mic one. And when I went to go edit the episode, it hit me and my heart dropped. And I was like, dang, I really got to figure out how I'm going to make this happen. So I messed around trying to edit it for a little bit, and I still just couldn't make it happen. And then that's when I decided, I was like, you know what? I haven't done a solo episode in a little bit. I think it'll be good to do one. I'm happy that I'm doing it. I'm not so happy under the circumstances, or under like the current circumstances for why I'm doing a solo episode. But it is what it is. We'll move on. We'll take it lightly and we'll move on. And to begin the episode, to begin the topic, shout out to the CDC for now lifting the mask mandate. This is old news. This is old news on my notes. So I'm going to try to take the old news and make it relevant to today. So, I mean, if you are living under a rock and you didn't know, the CDC has lifted their mask mandates. So for those that are fully vaccinated, you don't have to worry anymore about walking around with the mask on, being inside with a mask on. Nothing like that. We are free. And now that I am fully VAXXED vaxxed, I'm good to go. I haven't worn a mask in, actually I wore one today when I went to the store. Just like, I went to Walmart. You can't blame me for wearing a mask into Walmart. Like, it should be required that you wear a mask into Walmart pre and post pandemic. Walmart's dirty as hell. Outside of Walmart, I've been cutting back on the mask wearing. I will have to wear the mask, when I go to the airport, when I'm sitting on the plane. Kind of a bummer, but if you got a comfy mask, like, you ain't got no worries. You can get comfortable, you can sleep in the mask on the plane. It's not so bad. Now, one thing that I have been looking into, because this topic was brought up at work, if you have been fully vaccinated, you have something to show that you've been vaccinated. You have the vaccine card. And a lot of people are saying like, oh, well, like you're going to ask for my vaccine card. Like you're not allowed to do that, blah, blah, blah. Because of HIPAA, you can't do that. And let me tell you, I did my research. I looked into it. And just because like a business or anything says that you still have to wear the mask, and they may ask for like your vaccine or like if you've been vaccinated, HIPAA doesn't apply to you at all. Businesses still have the upper hand in this, because what HIPAA does apply to is the relationship between a doctor or someone in the medical field and their patient, stating that, you're not allowed to share the information. And with that, like relating to this, a business can ask you, like, yeah, let me see the Vax card. Let me see the receipts. Show me that you're actually about it. But what I have noticed with this is that a lot of businesses, like, they're past this. They don't care anymore. They don't even care enough to ask you to see the vaccine card. Actually, like, I haven't even been asked to see my vaccine card. And as I'm talking right now, I just remembered that I have to make sure that I try to pack it with my stuff. So, hopefully I don't forget that. Again, like, well, I am going to Florida. The pandemic never existed in Florida. And I saw that last year. I was there in May, and nothing was different. I've gone to Florida at least once, twice every year for the past like 4 or 5 years. And it's been the same year after year. The pandemic just didn't affect Florida at all. At all. So, it is what it is with that. Florida, continue doing what you want. It's always going to be the same with people down in Florida, not dissing anyone at all, but Florida just does it differently. And there's no shame in that whatsoever. Next thing I would like to cover is, I do want to talk about this because this frustrated me. This really frustrated me. This was a couple of weeks ago, and if you're on the East Coast, it may have impacted you. If you're in like the Southeast, it's definitely impacted you without a doubt. We face a gas shortage because a Russian hacking group got into the Colonial Pipeline, which provides gas to pretty much like everywhere, like all up the East Coast up into like Virginia. So they provide like a large amount of gas to the East Coast. So these hackers went in and they shut the system down. They're like, gas, no more. We're not having it. And that impacted everybody. Everybody. There were lines 20, 30, 40, 50 an hour long just to fill up on gas. And what frustrated me so much about it is people panicked. And we saw this last year when it came to toilet paper. People panicked. They bought everything out, and now we're SOL with toilet paper. The same thing with gas. People who may not have even needed gas were like, you know what? I should probably fill up my tank. Like I got 3/4 of a tank, but it won't hurt. And then there's me who left on my lunch break to go fill up my tank because I got in my car and I had like 8, 9, 10, something like that, almost in the single digits of miles until empty. And I was like, okay, like I'm the one that like actually needs gas, and there's people in these lines that are like, they're just giving into it. They're giving into the panic buying, and in no world ever has panic buying benefited anybody. Try to point something out to me that proves that panic buying actually like got something other than like making people wait in long lines for the most ridiculous things. So I had to wait in like a 40-minute line on my lunch break to get gas, and as I was driving back, I noticed like the Costco line was out of the parking lot. And Costco's huge. Like the parking lot is huge. It was blowing into the street. And I mean, I get gas at Costco sometimes, but when I saw that line, I was like, no, it's not even worth the extra like 20 cents or so. Like, I'm not waiting an hour for that, because even on like a regular day, the Costco gas line can take quite a bit of time. So I was like, you know what, I'm biting the bullet here. Like, I'm just gonna have to go somewhere else. I made it. I survived. We made it out with a full tank, and we're good to go. And then that pipeline opened back up because they paid off the Russian hackers. They paid off the group of hackers with $5 million in some sort of cryptocurrency. It didn't say what kind, but just something that's encrypted and untraceable. And we got our gas back. We're back on it. And it was crazy because I'm like driving down the street. I have a gas station outside of my neighborhood, like couple down the road, couple on the way to McDonald's, Walmart, all of that. Like they're all over the place. And it's crazy to see that all of these stations were like 100% out of gas. How does that happen? How does it get to that point where you are clean out of gas? Well, let me tell you, panic buying. And again, that hasn't benefited anybody ever. Like, why do people give in so easily? Like, it makes no sense, okay? Another big thing that we saw in the last couple of weeks is the crypto market has tanked. The crypto market fell bad. And I really think like the first thing that contributed to this was Elon Musk's appearance on Saturday Night Live. Now, going into it, everybody had hyped it up like, oh, Doge is hitting $1. Like, we're making it big tonight, boys. Like, we're getting rich. Dogecoin shoots up to like 71 cents. And then Elon comes on and it tanked. It fell bad. And then in addition to that, Elon clowned on Dogecoin by calling it a hustle. And you have to think of this, like, Elon has no connection whatsoever to Dogecoin other than he's just an advocate for it. Same as everybody else. They're just pushing for it and hoping that it does well. And it's wild because people think it's true. Elon does have an influence on Dogecoin, 100%. Like, he has the power to just tweet it tweet something about Dogecoin, and then it shoots up, falls, whatever. And that's why should he have that much power? And it's not just Dogecoin. He can do this with any other thing. If he goes and tweets that, I don't know, Apple's going out of not even Apple's going out of business, but like Apple had bad financials. People are like, oh wow, Apple had bad financials. Sell. Apple drops, and he literally just has the power. Like he has the stock market in his hands. Why does Elon have that kind of power? I don't think he deserves to have that kind of power. What happened the days following really, really tanked crypto. He went and announced that Tesla is no longer accepting Bitcoin due to the amount of energy it takes to mine Bitcoin. And if you compare that to any other crypto, Bitcoin is superior to it. Like it takes up a ton. And I've been mining Bitcoin quite a bit over these past couple months, or probably like a ton over this past month. And shout out mom, because I don't know how it's going to look on the electric bill. Just drop me drop me an invoice for it, and we'll make up for it. I'll pay you off in Bitcoin. But Bitcoin, the energy that it takes to mine it kind of goes against Tesla's green mission statement. And they no longer accepted are no longer accepting Bitcoin. This caused the price to drop. We were sitting at, high 50s, mid 60s to now mid 30s, touching 40 here and there, in addition to everything else crypto was down bad. And last week, if you did not take advantage of it, you still might have time. But last week was the perfect opportunity to buy the dip for everything. And if you didn't buy the dip, again, you still might have time. You still might have time. But just know, like, you're days behind all the people that bought the dip, myself included. And I haven't always been like huge on crypto. It's a bittersweet thing just because like it goes against what I kind of am familiar with. And that is, I kind of base my investing based off of like the fundamentals, the financials, all the things that justify why a price or why a stock is the price it is, or why it's doing the way it is. And with crypto, that's not the case at all. We see that crypto kind of follows herd investing, or like herd investing, behavioral economics, behavioral finance. Investing is based off of emotions, feelings, what you're seeing and hearing, what people are talking about. And we've seen that last month or the month before with NFTs. Everybody's talking about NFTs. Everybody has NFTs. Also, shout out to Greg Alford, who was on the podcast last. He just sold his first NFT. Extremely excited for him. Shout out to him. But with crypto, like, there's nothing to back it. Like, there are no financials to look at. You can do the technical analysis on it, but it's not the same as the fundamentals. It's not the same as reading the balance sheet, the income statement, statement of cash flows. It's different. And that's why, it was so hard on me to finally give into investing in crypto. And the reason I did give into it is it's free money. You get on Coinbase, you take the quizzes on like 5 or 6 different cryptos, you learn about it, and they give you free money. On God, I had like $50 in my Coinbase before the big drop last week. It dropped down to like 29. And it, again, like, it's free money. So slowly but surely, I've been, familiarizing myself more with the crypto markets and really trying to get an understanding as to why they move the way they do. And it's a slow process, slow and steady. I can definitely owe it to my boy Thaddeus Breckenridge, who's really been getting on to me about learning more, wanting to gain more out of it. And I'm slowly beginning to see that. Like, I think crypto definitely has potential, but there's also the people who approach it the wrong way. There's people that are just scamming you straight up. Like a celebrity's advertising something on social media, like buy this coin, going to the moon, diamond hands, whatever, typical Reddit language that you'd see. Everybody buys in, reaches a peak, and that celebrity dipsets. They get out of it. And that leaves all the investors, with their diamond hands just falling in price. And when relating that or like comparing that to the stock market, like, yes, you can do like shady stuff with the stock market, but like, it's just like not on the same level, which I can definitely understand why they're wanting to bring more regulation to the crypto markets. I think it's definitely a good idea. I think they should, but I feel like they might like go to the extreme when it comes to regulation. Like they could tax us like crazy, or they could be like kind of minimal stuff. But then again, like, how do you regulate something like that? How do you regulate something that's decentralized? And I think it's going to get to a point where people are going to work their way around the regulations. And I think that businesses can really help that out, because you get Bitcoin, you cash out, you're getting taxed on it. 100% without a doubt, you're getting taxed on it. But you take that Bitcoin, you go to Amazon, I need new sunglasses and I need a new fanny pack. I'm buying it in crypto, I'm buying it in Bitcoin, no tax right away. I have it, it's purchased on the way to me. Take that money out of your Coinbase, tax, then you go through on, whatever, go through on Amazon, buy those sunglasses and fanny packs, tax again, and then you finally get the stuff. So I think that there's definitely a way around this sort of regulation. And if they do regulate anything, I think it should be, the sketchy cryptocurrencies, the sketchy things, like the things that are on the bottom. For example, Carol Baskin. Tell me why Carol Baskin is working into finding or like funding a crypto. And the ticker is CAT, but if you're familiar like with writing or like reading stuff on stocks, like on social media and stuff, it usually begins with a money symbol. And money symbol CAT, we're looking at scat coins. Carol Baskin is selling scat coins. That shouldn't be allowed. Why should celebrities just be able to like finesse the system like that, pump the crypto and then dump it for everybody to just stand there? I don't know. That's my 2 cents on crypto. I didn't intend to really get into it like that for this week's episode, but I just had to let it off my chest. So really to kind of continue on when I was talking about Elon Musk, we saw that Michael Burry, who was famous for The Big Short, the movie and the book, once shorted the housing market and made absolute dough, caked off of it in the most like unfortunate way for people, but like he did it right. Recently, he bought $750,000 or $750,000 puts in Tesla, ultimately meaning that he's betting on the price to go down. And if you did the math, you add up the market cap, which if you been listening to the podcast since day one, it is the price times the amount of shares. The amount that Michael Burry spent on this is a little over $500,000. $500,000 to bet on Tesla to go down. And where has Tesla gone? RIP Michael Burry, because it's still going up. It hit 550 last week. I got the alert on my Fidelity app that, Chris, it's time to get in. Time to get into Tesla because it's at a low. And I did. And since then, these boys are jumping. Tesla is back on it. I think it's only a matter of time until they're back up. As for a sustainable future, we'll see. We will see. I just hope they're around long enough for me to get my Model X. But, I think it is definitely a bold move on Michael Burry's part to short Tesla. And he was actually in on following the Reddit stocks, and he supported it. He was following behind that. Now he's bearish on Tesla. It's crazy. And the next thing, oh my gosh, the next thing that I actually have written on my notes is putting down AMC and GameStop. And today, as it is 5/28/2021, AMC and GameStop are back up. The prices are up, ladies and gentlemen. A couple weeks ago, I looked at AMC, was selling at $10. I looked this afternoon, $29. GameStop, they went from mid 150s to mid 250s. Why? Okay. AMC, I can support AMC. I can get behind AMC because if they continue to evolve, post pandemic and really find a way to continue to benefit off of how people have like transitioned into how would I put it? The way of life completely changed when it came to movie theaters, streaming, all of that. Everybody and their brother now has a streaming service. And I think if AMC can kind of pick up on what these companies have began to do, I think AMC is in the clear. I think that their price can easily be justified. Now, as for GameStop, I still can't get behind it, guys. I cannot get behind it because it is not justified at all. It's, again, GameStop was on the way out. GameStop was on the way out. As I said a while back, I had been shorting GameStop when it was like $2, $3, $3, $4, probably like 3 years ago. I was counting on GameStop to go out. Fortunately, losses, none. But for what reason should GameStop continue to do well? What are they changing? Other than, they got a new CEO, which was the CEO of Chewy, and they're slowly, I just don't find this sustainable. They're slowly beginning to find new ways to stay relevant in the market. I just don't think it's enough. I do not think it's enough at all. And the power of the people on Reddit is unreal. I cannot knock the hustle here because I got respect for it. I think that it's unreal that they're able to do such a thing and really manipulate. Is manipulate the right word for it? Really, it might be the right word for it. I might have to go with the way that these Redditors are able to manipulate the stock into only going up and taking advantage of short squeezes is wild to me. And since February, I hate it. I hate how I can't fall back on it. But I cannot follow it on Reddit anymore. I cannot get back on Wall Street Bets because the glory days of Wall Street Bets is over. And now it has transitioned into everybody and their brothers on Wall Street Bets talking about the same stuff time and time and time and time again. Move on, guys. Come on, let's find something else to pump and dump. Let's find something else to blow our money on. Let's find something else to take advantage of. But I cannot continue to watch the same stuff be reposted again and again. It's a sad day that, I walk away from Wall Street Bets. I definitely have my glory days in there. But everybody's got to grow up sometime. Unfortunately, that's the case. To continue on to, the dull, sad conversation about that, I'm going to shout out, what I think is going to be one of the world's newest, billionaires, millionaires, top of the list, Melinda Gates. Do we know who Melinda Gates is? If you don't know who Melinda Gates is, come on, keep up. So Melinda and Bill Gates are getting a divorce. Bill Gates is hurting out here. He is hurting. And there's quite a few different things going around as for why they're getting a divorce. And it's kind of tough to know exactly like we're not in this relationship. We can only bank on what's being published, what's being posted, what's being said about in the press. So we don't have the full story. What we do have the story though of what we do have the story of is that Bill Gates had a little thing with an office employee. But this was about 20 years ago. This was about 20 years ago. Good old Billy Gates had something going on with someone in the office. To what extent? I don't know. But he claims that this was not the reason that he left the board of directors. This has nothing to do with his little thing going on 20 years ago. In addition to that, another thing that, well, before I hit on the next thing, this came out after the announcement of the divorce. So maybe Melinda wasn't even aware of this. And then she comes to find out that this was added on top. Like, yeah, let me pack my bags. Let me get out of here. In addition to this, if you're not familiar, good old Jeffrey Epstein knows how to put his hands in just about. I in no way intended it for it to go in that direction. What what I meant to say, that's funny. What I meant to say is that Jeffrey Epstein, I don't even know how to word this without it just coming out the wrong way. Jeffrey Epstein was involved with a ton of stuff when relating to businessmen, when relating to funding projects and education. He was definitely involved with it. Very, very involved with it. He had his ties with everybody. Him and Bill Gates befriended each other a little bit of time after he was convicted of, I think it's either solicitation of a minor or something with prostitution. They had become friends 3 years after he had been convicted. Now, put yourself in Melinda Gates' shoes. How comfortable are you knowing that your husband's out here hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein? Like, that's not a good look, guys. That is not a good look. So to think that, his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein definitely played a role in the divorce, easily. I think so, 100%. And I think that his involvement definitely benefited Bill Gates in terms of things such as the Nobel Peace Prize, funding projects, being an investor in multiple different things. But how comfortable are you if you're Melinda Gates that, your hubby is chilling with one of the worst people known to man? I'm sorry, Billy, but I'm getting a divorce too. I cannot get behind that. I cannot do that. And I believe it 100%. Now, what Bill Gates has done in the past couple of weeks, he recently paid Melinda $850 million in Microsoft stock. He is trying to pay her off. Well, that's what it looks like. Come on, Melinda, you're better than that. Don't give into it. Stay strong. Do just as what Jeff Bezos' wife did. Take the dough and be one of the richest women in the world. Just take the high road, Melinda. Last thing I do want to talk about is the Kentucky Derby. This was a few weeks ago again. Sorry. We saw Medina Spirit win the race. Shout out to Medina Spirit. Actually, Colby and I had been talking for a while that we were trying to go to the Kentucky Derby. And I'm going to tell you, tickets aren't that out of the park for field, like to be in the field, like for general admission. It's nothing too crazy. But the date approached us much quicker than we had anticipated, ultimately meaning that we could not go to the Kentucky Derby this year. In addition to that, it wasn't like 100% certain that they would allow everybody into general admission. You had to kind of wait until last minute to purchase the ticket to make sure that like you were allowed to go. But Medina Spirit won the race. Shout out to all the people that bet on Medina Spirit to win. Shout out to all the people that bet on this second place horse to win, because you are truly, truly, truly down bad. Why? Medina Spirit didn't pass a drug test. Medina Spirit was sparking with the homies in the stable. Medina Spirit was abusing banned substances. Not really. None of those at all, actually. Medina Spirit did test positive with for a corticosteroid, which this steroid is allowed within horse racing. You are just not allowed to use it within 2 weeks of a race. And the reason that I was taking the steroid was for dermatitis on the horse's butt, RIP. But owner and trainer Bill Baffert, this ain't nothing new to Bill Baffert. I think he's failed like 29 other drug tests as well for his horses, and he's still allowed to compete. This ain't nothing new to him. And then he went on the record, he was interviewed about it, and claimed that, he knew nothing about it. And then tried to say that he thinks that people are targeting him and that someone's doing that to take it out on Bill Baffert, which, okay, one time, understandable. Twice, a little skeptical. 3 times, no way. Definitely not. No one's plotting against you. 29 times, 29 other times, no. Bill Baffert, you are not getting away with this. Now, the next race following the Kentucky Derby was what Medina Spirit needed to get ready for the Triple Crown, which is at Belmont Stakes. Unfortunately, Medina Spirit couldn't pull it off, RIP, and it came out after the race that the New York Racing Association, thank gosh, has banned Bill Baffert from entering, installing any horses at any of their events, any of the New York Racing Association events, which includes the third leg of the Triple Crown, Belmont Stakes. And I feel bad for Medina Spirit, because this man, like, he's training, he's putting in the work, he's putting in the effort in the weight room, hitting the gym, getting ready for these races, and then come to find out his owner is just, he's not listening to the rules. Poor Medina Spirit, pour one out for the homies on that one. As for Bill Baffert, bro, come on. Get out of the game. You've made your money. Why continue with it, okay? And then to go and like lie and say that he's being targeted. No, bro, you're not being targeted. You're being stupid. You're being stupid about it. That's my take on that. But it is a shame that Medina Spirit cannot compete in Belmont Stakes to finish the Triple Crown, which would be a crazy thing to see. Unfortunately, it's not the case. And that kind of ended after the race a couple weeks ago, after the Kentucky Derby. Hate to see it, you really do. Next year, the Kentucky Derby, look out, because Colby and I will be in the field. I'm telling you right now, Colby and I will be in the field of the Kentucky Derby. Tickets are not that expensive. If you're looking to link up, let me know, because I'll be there. I'll be back in Louisville. I've been to Churchill Downs before. It was unbelievable. I want to be back out there again, dressed crazy bougie, throwing money down on horses, and just having a grand old time. But we are approaching the end of the episode because it's almost 1 a.m. I gotta finish packing. I have to finish laundry, try to get sleep, guys. I'm in for a long weekend. But next week is closing week for me at work. I'm going to do my best to try to get an episode out to you guys, even if it's something brief. As for the supporters, I'm going to try to get that newsletter out to you. Look out. I have your guys' email. Shout out to you again. You guys are the bomb. I love you. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Thank you for supporting the podcast, guys. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, reviews, recommendations, some constructive criticism, look, I'll take it. I will take it. I want to make the podcast better for you guys, truly. Shoot me an email at justchrispodcast@gmail.com. Find me on YouTube. Find me on Spotify, Apple with the updated links. Find me on Breaker, Radio Public, and other websites that we probably never even heard of before. I'm on there. Google Just Chris Podcast. The SEO is unreal. My name pops up. So again, guys, thank you for listening. I will hopefully talk to all of you next week. Send me an email, reach out to me. I love you, and y'all take it easy.